We had a beautiful bounce on BTC, Bitcoin, but what if I told you that's not where you should be looking if you want to make massive gains? A sleeping giant is starting to awaken, and when it does, it will be just the beginning of a incredible crypto pump, both for its own ecosystem and for the entire altcoin market. We are starting to witness the unfolding and the beginning of altcoin season before our own very eyes. And it always starts with Ethereum and its ecosystem. So in today's video, that's what we're going to cover. So if you find this interesting, please like and subscribe. It means a lot to me. And let us jump into it. Starting off with Bitcoin, as you can see on my screen here, it's so exciting. We grazed right above 97,000 today. And as of the time of today's video, we are sitting at just shy of $96,000 worth of a Bitcoin, which is tremendous considering it's technically Thanksgiving. And in a moment, you'll see what historically happens around Thanksgiving. But we are seeing a bullish chart right now despite the holiday week. But let us zoom in a little closer. If we take a look at Bitcoin's ETFs, let me zoom in for you here. We would see that we closed yesterday's business day, November 26th, with significant outflows. And as of the 27th, inflows. So you see there's been a turn once again. There was a minimal correction, which is very healthy. And we're also going to get into this just briefly in today's video in terms of why it happened. And as you can see here from Cointelegraph, and this starts to segue into today's main topic, we would see that there seems to be a shift of value from Bitcoin's ecosystem and market into Ethereum's, because as you can see here on the screen, it says that there were 1,320 Bitcoin sold, and on the other hand, 11,880 ETH were bought on November 26th. So when we saw that correction happen with Bitcoin, really, it was just value rolling over into Ethereum's network. Because once again, and as we saw a moment ago on Bitcoin's ETF inflow and outflow chart, what we saw there was that Bitcoin's ETFs saw $122.8 million worth in net outflows. So value leaving Bitcoin's ETFs. And then on the other hand, and as I'll show you right now on the screen, we saw 40.6 million in net inflows or inbound value into Ethereum's ETFs. And let us show you this right now. So this is, as you can see at the top here, Ethereum's ETF flow chart in the millions, same as the Bitcoin chart. And if we zoom in, we can see the inflows starting here to increase. So we did see a shift. We're noticing the shift happen, which if you've seen my past videos, you know, is the shift of value that needs to happen in order for that value eventually to get dispersed and really kick off altcoin season. But that said, it's not all bad and doom and gloom, because we do see that BlackRock, for instance, this was just reported on their portfolio filings, revealing that they now own 2,140,095 shares of IBIT, or their Bitcoin ETF, worth $77.3 million as of September 30th, which shows a significant increase from its previous reporting, which showed they only had 88,000 shares. So they have, I don't even know how many multiples they did here right off the top of my head, but they have very bullish overall for their holdings. And then here, if we zoom in and start to talk about what we can expect for this Thanksgiving holiday week, it's summarized quite nicely here by Charles Edwards. He says, Thanksgiving and Bitcoin. this is what we can expect. Wednesdays are bullish, so the day before Thanksgiving. But when you kill the turkey, he says, Bitcoin also dies a little bit. So if we zoom in on this chart, and remember, this is history. This doesn't mean that it's going to be this way for us. So I'm careful as I share historical data with you. I just want you to be informed, but it does not mean, nor do I believe, that it has to repeat itself exactly. Okay, so this is just to give you a general heads up, especially if you have any longs or shorts in. I just want you to be prepared. So as you can see here, this is Thursday. This is us. So happy Thanksgiving wherever you are, especially in the US. This is what we have historically been able to expect. On average, a dip of 1.34%, followed by a small little dip as well on Friday. But what is very, very exciting is that you need to see this as an opportunity to buy Bitcoin and not get scared when the price goes down. Because as you can see here, Saturday and Sunday, and we'll get into this a little more as well throughout the show, which isn't so long, so just hang tight, okay? It will pump. That's what we have historically seen, is that there's a minor little dip on Thanksgiving Day and Friday. So don't get scared if you see this happen. It's just history deciding to repeat itself. And as we can see here, this is by, he's the Bitcoin historian. And he says, he just shows us a chart, as you can see on the screen here. And he basically says, to this point of history rhyming, liking to rhyme with itself, he basically shows us how exactly 4 years ago, they called it Thanksgiving Day Massacre because Bitcoin's price crashed below $16,000. And so, and this is the moral of the lesson here, and this is what I was trying to say a moment ago when I was showing that chart to you on what we can expect during Thanksgiving week, and I'm showing it to you here again, so take a screenshot if you need this as a reminder. But what we can expect, and this is what he is trying to communicate to everyone here, is that everyone who bought the dip, everyone who didn't get scared over Bitcoin crashing, oh no, everyone who saw it as a sale and buying opportunity, when Bitcoin went back up, as it did, and as it will again this time, don't be worried, anybody. Those that bought the dip, they went up 480%. Because remember, we're going into the parabolic phase of the bull run. That is where we're at. That is the whole point of the show. I know sometimes I can't talk so loud or so excitedly, but this is my voice. I try, trust me. But we are going into the parabolic phase. Like, this is where we are. As Jacob Canfield here says, he says, buy the dumps on Thanksgiving, sell the pumps on Christmas. He's rhyming for us. It's called Santarelli, study history. And that's right. That's the moral of the lesson, guys, is, well, I don't think you should sell on Christmas Day either, unless you really need the liquidity, to everyone their own. But this is the general formula, basically. If you're looking for an exit, do not panic sell when Bitcoin goes down. That's the main takeaway, because I'm going to show you a chart in a few minutes that shows that basically a few days ago when we saw, our sharp, 10% correction, a lot of those holders were short-term panic sellers, like short-term holders and panic sellers, which is very sad to me, because it basically means they were new people that didn't know what to expect. And so they sold at a loss. That is what we saw. And the positive side, I guess, is that, this allowed for diamond hands, proper OG, like Bitcoin investors, to buy it, which then puts Bitcoin in safe hands, and this secures everyone's value. So it's ultimately good. And then here, Aaron O, amazing researcher. He breaks it all down nice and neatly for us. And this is what I really want you to listen to and just allow to sink in and process this, okay? He says, worried about Bitcoin's price action? Don't be. This dip might just be your annual Thanksgiving gift. Here's why. Historically, Bitcoin and crypto dips just before Thanksgiving aren't uncommon, as I showed you a few moments ago through multiple charts. It's happened on eight out of the 13 Thanksgivings since 2011, including this year. So that makes it 9 out of 13 years since Bitcoin's existence, this has happened. So don't be worried. But here's the kicker, or here's the silver lining, basically. This signal has been 100% accurate so far as one of the best times to buy. So he's basically saying every single time for the last, since the inception of Bitcoin, for like 9 out of the 13 times, Bitcoin is ultimately pumped after Thanksgiving's minor little correction. So he goes, let us zoom in and focus only on the halving years and what happens to Bitcoin from Thanksgiving to Christmas, because we have to think in stretches, right? I don't know if you ever ran track in high school. I ran track and cross country in junior high because I just tested out of high school. But if you think in terms of, like a stretch, like the last leg of, like every leg of the relay, right? Like that's how you have to think of crypto investing, right? Every stretch has a certain theme. So right now we're entering the November to Christmas stretch, all right? This is what has happened historically. In 2012, we went up from Thanksgiving to Christmas 27%. In 2016, we went up 33%, so even higher. And then in 2020, we went up 99%. So every halving year, Bitcoin rallied during this period 100% of the time without failure. So sure, it's just 3 data points, but these odds I would not bet against. So don't let the dip scare you. He says, be thankful, because this might just be the perfect opportunity to load up before altcoin season. So this is pretty much like, I know Black Friday hasn't happened yet, but think of it that way. And I'm not in the US, so I haven't participated in any sort of Black Friday, but I did when I lived there, and it is crazy, right? Like some people even die. They get trampled on as they're trying to go shopping, and people wait outside. They camp out all night going shopping. It's crazy, okay? Think of this as your last opportunity, like that, like in that spirit. I don't want you to go be irrational and crazy about your crypto buying. Just go check out all the videos I have made on specific altcoins, and go check out the tokens that Kyle has talked about on his channel and made specific videos about. Go watch Elio Trades, go watch Ivan on Tech, go watch these channels to find out like what tokens do they talk about a lot. These accounts that I've mentioned, including my own, a lot of research goes into the tokens that are shared with you. So I would look at those tokens, and I would also consider how much liquidity or available money you have to invest. That's important. Think of also how much time you have, because if you're not going to have the time to babysit and be watching for news updates on each of these tokens that you're holding and, be like hovering over them, you are probably not going to catch the right moment to sell a little bit, or, you know what I mean? I mean, for a lot of these tokens, they're long-term holds, but for the meme coins especially, because I have mentioned a few meme coins on my channel, you need to be fast with those. But anyway, that's a whole other topic we can get into later. Let me know if you'd be interested in me doing a panel and bringing in key people. Definitely Kyle, probably Coach K, and maybe a few other crypto people and, like KOLs, to get their thoughts on where to allocate your money, best advice, tips, etc. So let me know if this would be interesting to you. But anyway, let's keep going with the show. All right. And as we can see here by Bitcoin.com news, and I agree with them, they say, wow, that was fast. Bitcoin has surged back above $97,000 per Bitcoin. The momentum is real, and even Cramer can't mess this up now, right? Jim Cramer from his show. If you don't know who he is, good for you. But if you do, basically he's like a meme now. And every time he tends to say Bitcoin is good or bad, the market does the opposite. And so some people were blaming Bitcoin's recent correction on him, because he just literally said on his channel on public TV, like, Bitcoin's a winner. And then Bitcoin coincidentally started going down at that time. But that could also just be coincidence, I don't know. Anyway, the point is, it's meant to be funny, but let's keep moving forward. The point is, Bitcoin went up above $97,000 already, which is incredible. I'm rooting for Bitcoin all the way. I am one of those people, I know I should keep my opinion as much as possible out of this, but I do believe this bull run is unlike any other that we've ever seen, and I'm very excited for it. Because as you can see on the chart here, and this is just a reminder to you that you are not late. If you feel like you kind of missed the boat, you don't know what's going on, all these things. And by the way, regarding my course I have been talking about in previous videos, I finally sketched it all out. I designed it, and it's going to be a really short course. Like you can get through it in 4 to 5 days, like fast. And it's to the point what you need to do to invest. So it's coming, guys. I'm just in the middle of planning Kyle's birthday and Thanksgiving, which is like, I'm just a little maxed right now, but moving forward, I'm very excited for all things. So anyway, that said, we still have 50% of this bull run to go. And if we keep going, according to this chart, which I found so interesting, feel free to go follow this guy. Although I don't mean to say I endorse him, but his content is very good and it's very animated, as you can see here. Okay, he animates Bitcoin's chart and where we should be seeing. Let me play it for you. He says, this is Bitcoin's peak, cycle's peak. This is when Bitcoin's cycle's peak is expected, approximately 12 months from now, which is wild. This is very wild. I believe the altcoin season is already kind of starting right now, but I believe we're going to start to see parabola, you know, like the big green candle going up. We're going to start to see that probably January-ish into February for sure, I believe. But to imagine that we're not going to see Bitcoin's peak for a whole year, it's tremendous. So this is how he explains it. So I wanted to bring it to you guys. Let me know what you think. Do you see that? It should be right around this time in 2026. Let me pause on that right here. Take a screenshot and go look up this account and go look at it yourself because you have to do your own research. But this is wild. So that said, if we connect the dots between this, the fact that we're not going to see Bitcoin's peak for another year, and the fact, as you can see on my screen here, that we are only 50% there, and that the phase we're entering into right now is the parabolic phase that we call the altcoin season, because it stands for alternative coins, right? That have smaller market caps, that can go higher, right? That can therefore go higher. That's where all the money's made, that you're then supposed to roll back into Bitcoin, by the way, and your blue chip tokens. This is incredible. So you're not late. You didn't miss the boat. You're here just on time. Welcome to my channel. Please like and subscribe because I make this content for you Monday through Friday, every single day. And I will do this all throughout the bull run. I will be here for you. Rain or shine, tired, jet lagged, traveling, sick, planning parties, doesn't matter. I will be here for you. So that said, let us keep moving. Exciting times, guys. And don't be like these people, okay? This is what I'm showing you on the screen here. And this is to explain all, this pretty much also explains the correction we saw like 3 days ago, like starting on Monday and over the weekend. It was basically short-term holders that panic sold, which basically means newbies, new people that should have been watching my channel, okay? It's very sad. But it also means that now that we're seeing Bitcoin's price go back up, it also means that whales and strong hands bought up this panic selling. So sad. Don't be like these people. Don't sell at a loss, because that is what happened a few days ago and over the weekend. A lot of people that didn't know what to expect, they thought Bitcoin was dying, it was hemorrhaging, and they sold because they didn't want to lose any more. Okay, you cannot lose on Bitcoin. There's like whole theories on what it would take to take Bitcoin's network down, and it's basically impossible. Did you know that technically, this is a whole other topic as well, technically Bitcoin's existence should bring the world together because miners are globally distributed, that it's not in as more countries participate in Bitcoin and in mining Bitcoin and in transactions, all these things, right? And the more Bitcoin is owned, ultimately the higher the value goes up. So it's in everyone's best interest for everyone to hold Bitcoin. That makes sense. So ultimately it's not going to be in countries' best interest to bomb each other because they would hurt the network. So anyway, it's a whole theory on how Bitcoin even brings peace, which is amazing. But that's a whole other conversation that I'd have to do more research on to bring to you. But I did listen to a whole dissertation, like a whole talk on that. And it's amazing. Speaking of nations of the world entering and buying Bitcoin, these are the top governments, as you can see on my screen. These are the top governments by Bitcoin holdings in the world. Some of these surprised me. So the US is leading the way, thank God, at 19.41 billion. Chinese government is next. Oh no. This is why the US needs to hurry up with its mining efforts, because I know that China has a lot of miners. Maybe they were kicking a bunch of them out, but I don't think that's the last thing I knew. If you know more, let me know in the comments. Next would be the UK government at 5.66 billion. Next, the Kingdom of Bhutan, followed by El Salvador. Ukraine, that really surprised me, and it's wonderful. I actually love Ukraine. I was just there a few months ago. It's a wonderful country. It's beautiful. People are kind and elegant and classy, and the food is delicious. They have the best cheese I've ever had in my life. And I lived in France for a few years, and they have amazing cheese. I think like the best cheese I've ever tasted anywhere. Followed by the Venezolano government, which is crazy to think because Venezuela's economy is not doing good. It's one of like also, I don't know if it's one of the poorest nations of the world, but it's poor. And this is shocking to me if this is true, because you would think their economy would be doing better. And maybe it is improving as of recently. I need to go read up on my news. But last I heard, their economy was not doing good. So it's shocking to me to think they own so much Bitcoin. I mean, good for them. I hope their economy improves. Followed by Finland with 7.98 million. So the whole world is entering. That said, all the nations together, they currently hold 2.34% of Bitcoin's current supply. So change is here. We are living the future, guys. It's here. And some more bullish news for you, because if you followed my last videos, you would know I've been covering a lot of news every single day on everyone who's buying into Bitcoin, you know. We have Microsoft. I think they already met with Michael Saylor on how to buy Bitcoin and how to bring it into their own company's reserve. We know that Rumble just announced that they're going to be bringing Bitcoin into their strategy as well. Now we have Amazon. I mean, we did see Jeff Bezos having dinner with Michael Saylor like last week. I covered it in a video as well. So now it's like technically, but like indirectly and confirmed that Bitcoin is looking to buy $250 million worth of Bitcoin before the end of the year. So what do you think that's going to do to Bitcoin's price? It's going to pump it. Unbelievable. Let's keep going. And this is funny, and this is only going to pump. This is indirect alpha for you guys. I've covered Doge in past shows. There's Doge, the classical Doge. Then there's the new Doge that stands for like Department of Government Efficiency, which started out as a joke, and now it's a real thing. And so there's that Doge, and that is like D.O.G.E. Okay. Anyway, but Doge is awesome. They officially flipped Porsche. Doge's market cap is now $54.7 billion, and Porsche's market cap is $53.6 billion. It's like they say, like Elon says, and everyone says, you know, like history likes irony. It enjoys irony. So there's that. And then it just got even more real, because now Valor, which is it's an exchange traded products company, kind of like an ETF, but they make products, exchange traded products. Anyway, this is in Sweden, which is amazing. Sweden's also an amazing country. I'm part Swedish, actually, even though I don't look like it. They just launched the world's first Dogecoin ETP, or exchange traded product, giving Swedish investors regulated exposure to meme coins via the spotlight stock market. They are very progressive in Sweden. Very. Did you know that? So many random facts I know, but they have like the world's top music producers are Swedish, tend to be Swedish as well. So they're very progressive, and they're kind of quiet, modest people. And this is so funny. You have to go watch the last All In podcast. Super funny, because they give a whole like 411 breakdown on what Elon is doing with like Department of Government Efficiency and all these things. Anyway, this was news to me though. This is from today. This is super fresh off the press. As they say, Elon will be auditing the IRS. Sorry, it's really funny. And we also have 21 shares, which is like the world's largest. I went and looked them up because I didn't know too much about them, but this is them, okay? And if you research about them. They're like the world's first and largest ETP issuer, as you can see here. Anyway, back to the tweet. They just announced that they've released 4 game-changing ETPs, or exchange-traded products. And their newest products are, one focuses on Pyth, right? Like on Oracle's Pyth network. One stands for Pyth network, tokenization of real-world assets, right? So like Ondo, decentralized computing, Render, and artificial intelligence, backed by Near. So you can learn more by clicking on all of these down below here, okay? So you're gonna wanna go to 21 shares and like go find this tweet, or let me know if you want it, or I'll link it below. But let's go learn about Pyth network. So I obviously don't know very much about it, but now they have an ETP. Amazing. So this is wild, guys. Not only did we predict that there would be a Bitcoin shock supply, where like the whole world wakes up to Bitcoin, everyone's going to be wanting to buy Bitcoin, and soon there won't be any Bitcoin available for sale. And we're going to have to wait until each block is mined to like have a little bit more released into the market, even though we now know that a lot of miners are being contacted directly by like institutions and like countries and big companies to just buy their Bitcoin ahead of time. We are not only facing a Bitcoin shock supply or money grab, but now, especially with Trump's election, we are seeing the crypto space wake up and realize that, hey, there's a Bitcoin ETF. Why don't we make our own exchange traded product of our own tokens to expose more investors in Web 2 with crypto investing, but like taking the risk away from them and making it very easy for them to invest into, which these products do. So we're really starting to see the crypto space wake up and start to like, you know, switch on. Because as you can see here also, Bitwise, which is also a crypto exchange, they just also filed with the SEC to have these tokens on the screen here: XRP, Bitcoin, Solana, Cardano, Uniswap, Polkadot, Chainlink, Ethereum, Avalanche, and Bitcoin Cash to become ETFs as well. Currently, crypto is still regulated by the SEC, right? Or not regulated by the SEC. And it's only going to be once Trump becomes officially president and they have all their conversations and make all their new decisions that it will likely, crypto will start to be regulated by the commodities department. What is it? The CFTC. So we're still in transition. So the fact that they have filed for ETFs doesn't mean it's going to happen. Obviously, it took a while for Bitcoin and Ethereum's ETFs to be approved, but it's in the works is what it means. So very, very exciting in general for the crypto space, because as they become publicly tradable products, it brings exposure to the actual product, to the actual crypto token, underlying token. And eventually a lot of investors probably, and if anything, their children that are our age, are going to be like, oh, maybe I should just buy the underlying asset, right? So you can kind of foresee a flood of attention coming to these tokens, hypothetically. I mean, just the publication of this is marketing, right? And here, this is a very interesting tweet, because this is speculation once again, but it's interesting that as value left Bitcoin a little bit, these last, especially over the weekend and Monday and Tuesday, as we saw the correction, it's interesting to know how Ethereum CME futures, right, or what investors foresee or foreshadow or bet on or believe the value of Ethereum to be, right? They put in a lot of contracts in, which basically could mean that some of that value left Bitcoin and went into ETH, went into Ethereum, which makes sense. But this is, yeah, I mean, the chart kind of says it for itself, which this chart also that we're looking at on the screen here by Milky Bull also speaks of. It's basically showing how Bitcoin broke the support line, which could indicate that Bitcoin's dominance is quieting down, it's simmering down. But I don't know about this in total or like in general or as a fact or done deal, because of, once again, the fundamental changes that are happening in the world. Because you have to think of, okay, so there's like T8, right? Technical analysis, which is this, as you see on the screen, charts and charting and patterns. But remember that these patterns are only patterns because there is historical data that allows there to be a pattern. Because if there's no past reference point, then how do you map any line, right? moving forward. So you have to remember that it's only based on that. But we do then have fundamental reasons that don't depend on patterns, that are unaccounted for, and that are like outlier type events that we don't have any chart data for, which basically means things like Trump being elected, which is going to come and take office on January 20th. So don't you think that's going to bring a Bitcoin pump? Yeah, it is. His new cabinet, they're all like pro-Bitcoin. The fact he has Elon running around the Hill, DC, like firing people that are getting in the way of the government running the country. That's going to streamline business. It's going to be good for the economy, cutting all the red tape that doesn't allow that prohibits people from being able to invest in Bitcoin and crypto. I mean, there are, like countries, as I just showed you a moment ago, so many countries entering into Bitcoin and crypto. You just have so many fundamentally massive changes happening in the world that are pro-Bitcoin that I just can't necessarily see Bitcoin going down. Like I can see a correction happening, but I think there's a moment in which there's like a flippening or like a tear in dimensions or realities. And I think, who knows, is all I'm saying. Like, I don't think this is the end for Bitcoin. Like, this is TA, technical analysis. But I think we have too many catalysts, huge reasons that really could take Bitcoin just like completely out of any of our expectations. But moving on into the point of the show, it could be a good time. It could be a good time to put in your final bets into ETH or Ethereum betas, because Ethereum is starting to show strength. There's value, there's investors starting to put in their bets, starting to buy and like predict and like put in their contracts basically to like betting on Bitcoin's price going up, which in itself tells the whole market. It's a psychological signal based on money that tells everybody it's going to go up. And so then it does, right? So whether or not Bitcoin goes down, that's what I'm arguing. But I'm not arguing the fact that Ethereum is going to go up, because it's happening like before our own eyes. So this guy says he swapped all his USDT into ETH because he says there's no point in holding stables, coins like USDT, unless you want to place some limit orders, right? He says Ethereum has max downside of 20% and upside of at least 2x. It could go up twice in value. So I agree with that logic, right? Ethereum is going to go up times 2, while stable coins are not, right? USDT is kind of pegged to the US dollar a little bit, more or less. And so it's not really going to go up in value. So if you're wanting to make sure that your money is always working for you, it makes sense to roll any extra USDT into ETH, but on a different chain. Yeah, like maybe Base, because it's cheaper and it's still an ERC20 chain, still like Ethereum compatible, because gas is very expensive on Ethereum. But yeah, so I agree with that logic. And I also, and you can always just convert it into USDT if you want to buy, into another token. But a lot of tokens, especially those on Ethereum, you can just buy with ETH as well. And here are the top Ethereum ecosystem coins. If you want to look at, which are like the blue chips in Ethereum's ecosystem, all generally safe blue chip tokens here. Anyways, here is the interesting part. So as I was saying a moment ago, and data is really starting to support this, right now it's Base. It's pumping. There's a lot of liquidity moving from Ethereum into Base. And that's what this chart shows. It shows there were close to $4 billion worth bridged or moved from Ethereum into Base, right? So, and it goes on to say, for perspective, Coinbase itself has 270 billion in safeguarded assets. So like Coinbase, obviously, right, kind of like any platform, like Amazon, right? Or, if you're in Asia, you buy products on Lazada or eBay, right? Like if the platform notices that one product is starting to sell more of, then it starts to like promote it, right? Well, Coinbase, an exchange, is like a platform, right? Where you can buy crypto. And so now that Base is doing well, it's very likely going to start to promote it some more. And so very likely that Base is going to grow even more. So we'll see. But it's all about Base. And as you can see here on this chart, there were 747 million in value in net flow into Base this last month. If you can see my screen, you would see at the very top, this giant green bar is Base. That's how much value is moving over to Base, followed by Solana, followed by Sui. So it's all about Base, guys. It's not financial advice, but you may want to go check it out. And not only that, but Base's total value locked, okay, TVL, is up only and up plus $1 billion, 25% in the last month. So this tells you like what the collective investor consciousness, like where everyone's moving the money. They're all like believing in Base and things. Like you want to follow the money, right? And there's all-time high daily transactions on Base as well. And the fees staying low, right? So the red line is like the fees staying low, and then like the blue line going up is how many like transactions. So like it's also a good sign that it can scale, because that's been a problem for Solana, is that sometimes it chokes. You know, it's still an awesome chain. I'm not speaking bad against Solana, but like sometimes it's slow or some transactions fail. You have to like try again. Thankfully, it's always cheap, but like this is showing that volume of transactions are going up, far so good, and the price is staying cheap, which is great. And the best part, this is by, what's his name? Mustaco. He says, if we repeat the previous cycles, then altcoins are just getting started. Had shared this chart with you guys when 95% out there were bearish and no longer believed in altcoins. Now those same people are being proven wrong. So he shows us history, basically, and shows us how we are about to pop off. Here we go, and we can compare it to this parabolic phase over here that I'm circling on the chart with my mouse. So very exciting. All right, that brings me to the end of today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were able to process everything and mainly understand that there are many reasons to keep Bitcoin pumping unprecedentedly, like we've never seen before in history. And that despite what's going on with Bitcoin, charts are starting to show that value is pouring into Ethereum's ecosystem and into Base. This could be a really good opportunity for you. Not financial advice, but if you were my mom, this is what I would be telling you. All right, take care, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. And happy Thanksgiving. Ciao.